welcome back to my channel. I am eca.fairy and in today's video I am sharing with you my two latest sunscreen finds that wooed me, and I hope they will do the same for you. I have them right here, and first of all we are going to start with this one that I'm currently using. This is from COSRX and it's the Ultra Light Invisible Sunscreen with witch hazel, aloe and hyaluronic acid. This claims to have amazing lightness, which I can confirm. With COSRX sunscreens, this is the first experience that I actually love, because you probably know my beef with their other really viral sunscreen. If you've watched the video, and if you didn't, make sure to watch it, especially if you're planning on buying that other one, because you might run into the same problem that I did. For this one, in my opinion, is 10 times better. I'm pretty sure they released it a couple of years afterwards, or at least it became available to purchase in my area a couple of years afterwards. I would definitely recommend this sunscreen. This indeed leaves no white cast, however what it's going to leave is like a film, that sort of film mask that we all used to go crazy about a few years ago. Not that extreme, just a little bit of a film feel, which I don't hate, to be honest. Like, I am not a fan of it, however I don't hate it, and I don't feel like it's ruining the sunscreen in any way, because this has no white cast and I really just love the way it's applying. It feels really hydrating, which I also appreciated and which my skin really needed. However, one little issue that this also has is the peeling, however not as bad. So I've been using this for pretty much like a month or so now, but I've only applied it once, and then throughout the day I have used other reapplication methods. And by the way, if you're interested in that, I also have a couple of videos with tips, products, recommendations and so on that you can find in my SPF playlist, and I definitely suggest you check out after finishing this video, because who knows, you might find your perfect sunscreen match in there. Back to the peeling issue, if you remember, that was also the issue that I had with the other sunscreen from COSRX. However, that was just really bad peeling. It peeled like 3 times in total, I think, and I really think it had to do with the fact that I had applied other products prior onto my face and maybe not have waited long enough for them to be absorbed before using this sunscreen. So I wouldn't say it's definitely its fault. And if you don't know what peeling is, it's basically when like product starts crumbling in like little like small crumble like shapes. And like the first 2 weeks, I think, of applying this, even though the film feel was there, this did not crumble, it did not peel. So I was like, yeah, okay, it's peel free, it's not going to happen, but it did, as I was saying, I think 2 or 3 times. So I think in 1 month that's pretty decent, and I would definitely say that this is a good product. I am happy with my purchase. I have had this for quite a while before opening it up. I think I got it in like May or something, but I had other products that I wanted to finish before, and I also discovered that opening a lot of sunscreens at once, leaving them around everywhere, is not really good for the product. The properties can kind of alterate, the formula can get weird, it can get a smell, not necessarily like truly expire, but sort of expire. I've had that happen with some sunscreens in the past, so I'm really trying to now just open one of them, finish it, go through with it, or if I just hate it so much, I'm not going to, obviously. But as a rule of the thumb right now, I'm trying to not waste product anymore in that sense, and just open like 1, 2 maximum, because I also have this issue in which if I have too many laying around, I tend to misplace them and then I can't find them for a while, and then they obviously expire. Which leads us to the second product of today. I now realize that that segue made no sense because this has nothing to do with expiration. However, I'm going to be talking about this product by showcasing you the box, because as you can see, it's empty. I threw dub away when I was done with it, so we're going to have to imagine that it's here. I finished this not too long ago, however I wasn't at home, I had a bunch of stuff in my hands and I just wanted to get rid of all the trash, and this unfortunately was in there. And I know that I try to keep the empty products for you girls to show them to you, you know, after I'm done with them, like this is the empties of the month and so on. However, with this product I forgot about that. The product that I'm talking about is the Garnier Super UV Stick 50 Plus SPF, the very high protection, and it contains shea butter and it's supposed to give an invisible finish, non-greasy, and I approve. I confirm. I love this. Like, great product. I also gave one to my mom who has pretty oily skin, and I can confirm that it did not give her any sort of greasy finish. It actually helped with that. So this product is great for pretty much all skin types, I feel like. The number one reason that I picked this up, besides the fact that it's a UV stick, so I wanted to try it out to see, you know, what else the sunscreen world is releasing. This is extremely affordable compared to most sunscreen sticks that are out there currently, and especially if you want something that's going to last a bit longer, this is definitely it. And by the way, I also think that this is a great option, and sunsticks in general, but especially this type of sunstick that has an invisible finish that just goes around your skin really smoothly. I think it's really great, especially for your friends or family members that don't want to use sunscreen because it feels like oily on their skin, or they don't like the texture or so on. This is a great option, and I have tested that with my boyfriend as well, and they are having such an easier time applying sunscreen. So if you care about your loved ones and you want to get them some sunscreen but they are really reluctant to it because the formula and so on, getting a sunstick is, you know, the way to introduce them into the SPF world, at least in my experience. Anyway, back to this product. It has a bit of a drier consistency, I think. So I at first had a bit of a harder time applying it because you had to kind of rub it on your face kind of harshly. However, now with these sort of temperatures that we're experiencing this summer, I feel like that's not going to be an issue because pretty much all products are melting in my purse. So if I still had this, I bet it would also be a bit melted and easier to apply. However, I feel like this is not necessarily the best option if you have makeup on your face. With blush and bronzer it was okay, but I feel like if you're wearing a full face of makeup, you will want to try another reapplication method that I presented to you, as I was saying, that you can find in my SPF playlist. And even though the consistency of the product in itself was drier and, let's say, a bit harder to apply and evenly distribute on your face, the product in itself is not drying, but it is in a way mattifying. So I would say, if you know the Beauty of Joseon mattifying sunstick, I also talked about that one, and that's one of my holy grails. By the way, I have to repurchase that one. Yeah. Anyways, that one, think about that they have a pretty much similar effect. However, if I remember correctly, this is half of the price, and obviously you're not going to get that kind of really hydrating formula that the Beauty of Joseon has. However, this also has shea butter, as I was saying, so it's not drying, it's not going to, for example, in my experience, it did not break me out. And if one sunscreen starts breaking me out, then we have beef, because I perfected my, let's say at this point, triple cleansing method so well that no sunscreen does that anymore. And if it would be to break me out, then it would definitely be like a red flag about the product in itself. However, it was not the case for this one, and I definitely think that it's a great and affordable, again, purchase. And especially if you're not sure if reapplication like sunsticks are the way for you to go, if you think that, you know, just using the normal traditional SPF way is something that you would prefer more, I still recommend that you keep something like this in your purse, because it can be really handy, especially if you have, for example, a day in which you can really like clean your hands as well as you're supposed to, you're on the run, you're sweaty, and so on. All in all, these have been my two most recent sunscreen finds, and this one also an empty at this point, and I can confirm that both of them really like lived up to the expectations. I have no major complaints about them, and to be fair, I think that the formulas of sunscreen in general are getting better in my opinion, or maybe I'm just better at selecting products that I know that are going to work for me. Like for example, that you know that I'm more for chemical sunscreens. However, I feel like this is a mix actually, even though it feels like a chemical sunscreen. I don't know, does it say anywhere? But the fact that this leaves this film, as I was saying, on your skin, I don't think that that's something that the chemical sunscreen does. I think that's because that was the whole mineral versus chemical debate. Like the mineral one sits on top of your face, the chemical one gets absorbed. I hope this video was helpful to you, fairies. I definitely had a lot of fun sharing these products with you, and don't forget to don't forget to go and watch the sunscreen playlist because it has so many products. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you, fairies, next time. Bye!